counts. It counts. It counts.
With those buffs that she got on this patch, but it does secure you that first pick Kalista again that so many teams have been trying to use off the bottom side of the map and stacking those dragons.
Yeah. And it looks like we might see the Udyr coming through for Impact. I really do like the Kalista lane coming out for Dig, though, because this is a team, the Lounge touched upon it a bit. They actually have been pretty bot lane focused around Tomo and Isles, who've been performing, I think, better than people had expected them to.
All right, Azir locked in for the side of Team Liquid. We're going to have APA piloting that one again. Who knows? We saw in the interview between Jat and Spawn, APA's mom was not happy with APA having to play the meta-type champs, but maybe it'll work out this time. APA has been coming under a lot of criticism from TL fans for why the games aren't going their way. Yeah. Yesterday, he had some good macro movements with the rest of the team, taking some turrets in a situation that was otherwise pretty disadvantageous for them, but it still wasn't enough. Maybe they've got a better plan here today going up against Dig. It's Renata Glasc locked in next to the Kalista.
The best Kalista partner here. Yep. Renata Kalista bottom lane. Huge pickup here for Dignitas. But I would say, especially on the storylines that you're going with as far as these two teams, one of the big and kind of unexpected ones with that Udyr lock-in is Impact League of Legends World Champion in 2013 versus Rich, the HOTS World Champion.
Oh, yeah.
Multiple-time World Champion. And the Udyr has been spam-picked. The zero. Thank you so much.
This is an amazing graphic, and the reason is because of the CS.
The spam pick of the Udyr here, though, has been consistent for Team Liquid for Impact, and he has been one of the top laners in LCS that has most successfully used this pick.
Yeah.
Trying to annoy the enemy jungler, taking over enemy vision, taking enemy camps, getting in early for level 1 invades to attack enemy jungle as well. So I definitely expect them, to try that as well. Once they've got the Poppy, maybe you can go for something like a Raptor Seal or something like that with Udyr top. But of course, Rich will have the counter pick in top lane now, and Team Liquid trying to protect this Udyr a little bit, although Udyr doesn't need a lot of protection.
Yeah.
And they just throw out the Gnar ban from yesterday that Rich played.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's funny that you mentioned Udyr counter picks, because I still think teams are kind of not necessarily struggling, but really trying to figure out what do they want to lock in as a hard counter. Is it going to be something like a Darius, right? Something that you just want to maybe be able to smash up there, and you have to think that Impact is probably prepared for a lot of these.
And Rich was one of the guys just spamming Udyr himself in Champions Queue, so he's not going to run into this problem of, not being well acquainted with how you're supposed to play Udyr or what you want to do with it. And Rich has played 5 different champions in 5 different games so far in LCS, and last year he was also one of the ones to use the most extreme of counter picks, though we haven't seen him go anywhere off meta just yet this year.
Right.
Yeah, I kind of hope this is the game. You know?
Yeah, I definitely do.
I don't want to see the Aatrox coming in, as they take away the Sejuani from eXyu as well. eXyu is another player I'd like to talk about on Dig a little bit, because I think they've had pretty good early game plans with him. Where I've been more critical of him is kind of responding to when other teams kind of respond to those game plans. But I actually thought their bot lane response and focus from eXyu and Dove rotating down to bot lane to help them out yesterday, get them ahead, was really smart.
Yeah, it was pretty interesting listening to eXyu when he was on the Pros podcast at the end of the day, telling Jat how their comms were a little bit up in the air right now because Dove and Rich English isn't the best, and so sometimes he just makes a call and then hopes that they understand the entirety of that call. And it has worked out sometimes. Sometimes there has been a disconnect. Hopefully they've got everything smoothed out here.
All right, the Gnar and Sejuani, the bans in the second half for TL, as Dignitas remains 5 out of 5 champions that either only go bot lane or at least can go bot lane. Really zeroing in on that matchup down there. What's Team Liquid going to go for here? Milio locked in. They are saving the AD carry as the last pick of the draft.
Lucian.
All right, Rich, pick in a hard counter. You won't.
Let's see.
Do you guys ever do that when you're just like, you won't, you won't?
I would say there are probably no hard counters to Udyr. There are some like soft, things that can do well in lane, but I actually don't think you can hard counter this champion.
Yeah, that's kind of the trick, right? And you already talked about how Impact can make the most of, when do you proxy, when do you shove, when do you go and help out your jungler?
Nice.
The Zach
There we go. Fresh off of some... Oh,
see, you cursed it. You were talking about it. You do not talk until it's locked.
No.
That is how it works. Otherwise, you're going to get this same thing that you've seen a million times.
This
No
is
lock, no talk.
This is exactly what I said I did not want.
Okay.
Just for entertainment
Honestly, though,
value. It's not a bad pick.
it's still a really, really good draft, though. You have the Nocturne Orianna combo. Hopefully everybody understands it now so they don't pause it when they get Nocturne shockwaved. And it works really well with a Renata Kalista bottom lane here. Aatrox comes in for some pretty decent team fighting later on, and we'll see about how annoying Impact can be and how much he can actually disrupt that Nocturne farming and slow down that Nocturne progression towards level 6, though.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the big thing, whether they can harass this Nocturne off of early jungle camps, and also, are we going to see our first Lucian win? Like, I do want to see some really interesting action in the bot lane, with both of these bot lanes being lanes that you really want to get ahead in the 2v2 early.
I was saying that right at the very beginning, that Aphelios and Lucian are his two favorite champs right now, and Dignitas use every single ban to say, please,
Just play it.
please pick the Lucian. We want you to play it. So now it'll be really fun to see and keep track if Yeon can punish them for their hubris.
30 seconds until minions
Okay,
spawn.
nothing crazy here at level 1. Just throw a soldier in the brush, throw the ball in the brush, anything that's not a person, throw it in the brush, and just make sure that the other guys aren't already there. See a ward placed down by eXyu in the enemy jungle. Just keeping an eye on the Raptors. Pretty standard. Nobody really wants to throw this one into chaos super early.
Yeah, we got some really nice comms actually in all chat. Always like checking in, and you know, especially with APA here, Dove, they have a pretty good relationship. Just some good luck, have fun for on both sides for
Good
everybody
manner.
here.
Yeah.
Everybody, you know, we're starting off the day with some
Good
good
vibes.
manners, good vibes,
We got a nice
good
little
clean game here.
We got a
Everybody.
National Geographic camera looking around, panning across the rift. Okay, everything's good to start off here at level 1. Impact is... I always forget that Udyr has technically a 5th appearance where he's not in any stance before he levels 1, and he just looks like a homeless guy with no shirt.
He's natural
Kinda.
Udyr.
Yeah.
Oh, natural.
He's got his fists up. He's ready to go.
His home is the entire Summoner's Rift, and especially the enemy jungle. And he does go get that deep ward onto the blue buff and Gromp. As jungler, everybody's been conditioned now to be wary of these top lane Udyrs, constantly looking for invades, though. So eXyu does the very safe wolf start here for the Nocturne, and then ping down to the bottom side and bounce back up.
Yeah, and I am curious, again, just to see how early both of these junglers, even with the Nocturne pick, get involved in bot lane. Because bot lane is what is most important right now in these early levels for me, in terms of who gets ahead.
Especially when we've got champions like Kalista and Lucian, right? You're talking about wanting to get Lucian ahead, play it like a Caitlyn Lux, rotate it around. Kalista also being a champion who loves to run away with the early momentum of the game, but Umti being invaded by eXyu, Nocturne versus Poppy, 1v1, showdown in the jungle, and it fizzles.
Nice little delay there for Umti, because eXyu knows Umti doesn't have Smite as he used it on blue buff, and he kind of runs him around in a circle.
Yep, but the sweeper does see Spooky Ghost Nocturne. eXyu with the spell shield.
Pretty early.
Yep, not going to work out so great there, and considering he loses out on that trade, I think it's time for the Ghost to head home.
This is really annoying for Nocturne. Going to be behind the pace of the game for a champion that wants to try and rush to level 6 and wants to be able to have enough items to be able to finish off their target once you start jumping in.
And we'd mentioned Impact on this Udyr champ, right? Now he's kind of taking control of this entire top side, not only proxy farming, but making sure that he invades for vision coverage for his team.
Yeah, the bane of every jungler, the top lane Udyr. You can basically
So
cross
obnoxious.
out.
Yeah.
You can cross out that blue quadrant, and since Umti was able to play, never mind. Here we go. Dove's gonna have to make some evasive maneuvers.
You thought the jungle was the target. It's mid lane after all. Impact goes in, forces the flash out of the Orianna, grabs a very minor amount of damage on him. But hey, free summoner spell, 3.5 minutes into the game.
And he's gonna have time to get his recall purchase off. Oh, he's actually gonna go for the teleport first. Because of that little delay by Orianna, if he went for the base first to get his purchase and then teleport, would have lost out on the minions. So At least they won't have to deal with the extra power there.
Rich wanted to come down, try to stop the Scuttle Crab take there, but Umti can smite it away and disengage. APA drops down to almost death, but the man barely survives. 25 HP left on the Emperor. Time to head back to base.
Yeah, and we'll see how much that Dig can get off of kind of having a little bit more mid pressure around here. It does take a little bit of, again, pressure off of the Nocturne as well to be able to farm up to 6 when he can do a little bit more.
Down here in bot lane, Yeon and CoreJJ having the definitive advantage in terms of health to use, but Yeon is running pretty low there on the mana, so not all the burst potential in the world available for these guys. Emily, you're talking about wanting to see if Lucian can get his first win. You're talking about how they need to pilot this correctly. What does a good laning phase end up looking like by the time it ends for this Team Liquid duo?
So obviously, like, Lucian can have push and lane, but I think the more important thing is that he kind of has this kill pressure that he gains, especially at 6. Obviously, they're going to be slowly pushing this wave in just to have more control over it, which is really nice as well. But in terms of like what I consider good Lucian play, it's not only being able to take control of that bot side for early Drake stacking, which is something that Umti usually keeps in mind. One of his recovery points yesterday was when he actually was able to get the early Drake even after contracts invaded. But then rotating the Lucian around the map, right? Because again, he should have a lot of kill pressure. He should be kept safe with the Milio. And right now you see that Tomo and Isles are really haven't been able to do much in this lane because of how they've been slowly pushing it in.
Top side. Impact versus Rich. At least Impact is back in the normal spot of the lane. He's not proxying anymore. Umti going ahead to start up that Drake, utilizing that pressure that they have down in the bottom lane. eXyu just farming up the Krugs. Dig is none the wiser. Should be free objective for Tio.
And it's going to be very problematic for Dig because if they're able to take Dragon first here off of pushing bottom lane with the Lucian Milio, then they should have a very easy time for Umti to afterwards rotate up to the Void Grubs and take those as well, since Impact constantly pushing on Rich's Aatrox, and they should have top lane support there as well. So early neutral objectives should be fully controlled by Team Liquid this game.
Yeah, and again, like I do appreciate, I talked about Umti's recovery in the game yesterday. I did think the early Drake focus was a good call, even though they still ended up losing that game. And I like being able to take it just off of clear bot pressure down in this game as well.
There it is. Impact, the guardian of the grubs.
He's not going to let him in. Dove and eXyu trying to force him back here with a numbers advantage, but APA is ready to play. He'll jump in, face tanking eXyu here at the start, flashing back out, but Rich has made his entrance. Impact's got to be careful with the flash. Q3, it's Rich getting paid with first blood, as Umti now has to try to run, but Dignitas is in hot pursuit. Umti with the flash over the wall to escape the Q1 yet again, but Dignitas come out on top of the fight.
Yeah, Rich coming in hot with the brutalizer there. The lethality from Aatrox for the early stages, able to make them feel pain. And APA, no flash on the Azir as well, could become problematic. eXyu's about to get his level 6 on Nocturne after Grubs. Maybe Umti is thinking about something here. He's hovering around for a possible steal on one of the Grubs. Since the smite was already used here by eXyu, should be able to slip in no problem.
Yep. Umti's going to have control over the pit now. eXyu's happy enough, just guaranteeing that he at least takes one of them. If you can take one from each set, it stops your opponents from being able to generate the Void Mites later on, since 5 is the magic number. Yeon just clearing out this minion wave down here, defending the tier 1 turret. The first plate does end up falling, going over to Dignitas. You can see Rich actually highest level in the game, if only by a small margin of EXP.
All right, I want to see this first Nocturne Orianna combination towards APA, try and get this Azir, punish him while he has no flash.
Whoa, Isles going in for the flash. Yeon is the target, as Tomo's going to keep his support alive. Now Yeon with the calling, disengaging back underneath the turret. The Dignitas duo doesn't have the damage to fully secure the kill, but they're ready to play aggro.
Yeah, and I mean, that's really important for this Dig bot lane, right? Because they were able to, kind of off of what happened mid and top side with that skirmish, they were actually able to come back and push this wave up to get a plate for themselves. So they're not in a bad spot at all.
Plus, it gives the Orianna Shockwave Nocturne combination possibilities of roaming bot now, too.
Yep.
Yeah. Like, yeah, and you don't even need the Orianna to go with Nocturne. Now that there's no summoner spells on the Lucian, you do have to worry about the Milio ultimate, but definitely possible. Oh,
whoa, that was
gets it.
really close. That was really close, but eXyu gets it and he gets out.
Yeah, and Kobe, you were talking about kind of comms on this DIG team. One of the things that looked a lot better yesterday in their win was Dove and eXyu working together to get that bot lane ahead, right? And this is another perfect combination to do that with the Nocturne Orianna.
Nocturne clearing through the red, still hanging around this bottom side. Both bot laners have done their resets now. You can see the Berserker's Greaves fully completed on Kalista, just the way that the champion works, loves to have that movement speed ready to go. Yeon still here with 76 compared to 81 on the farm, so pretty even. Impact versus Rich. Impact is low on mana here, but Udyr is just such a brick wall, man. This guy is so hard to move out of the top lane. But Rich is taking a sledgehammer.
He's moving that brick wall.
Yeah, he's got the sledge ready to go as Isles throws out the hostile takeover, and Umti's in a bad spot. eXyu ready to take him down here with the fear popping off, and Umti dropping down. Dignitas has themselves a 2-0 lead as Impact is down to 150 HP, and Rich is wanting to finish the job. Team Liquid's duo stuck underneath their tier 1 turret as the pressure continues from Dignitas across Summoner's Rift. Both mid laners still doing their job back in their own lane as Impact, again, just trying to farm up, utilize the turtle, the shields, the heals, just make sure that he doesn't get forced away here. Rich, nice moves there with a Q3. Impact with the shield. He's still sturdy enough, but Rich is playing this matchup really well.
Yeah, Impact holding on to that Awaken there under tower, but the onslaught from this Aatrox is just going to continue. Rich looking for his first turret plate here. Should be able to get it with the Void Grub buff.
Yeah, it was it's unlucky for Impact because Rich should actually just be able to keep harassing him under turret, trying to delay that back.
All right, it's 1,500 gold lead for Dignitas right now. What's the play if you're TL, Emily? Because right now you're kind of looking at yourself, you're bleeding a little bit. How do we stop that? How do you get a bandage on this and make sure that you're in a good enough spot to fight fair in the mid game?
I mean, based on pings that are going down, they're just going to try to set up for this next Drake.
Okay.
And hopefully start, again, they did start Drake stacking really early. Now that Drake is back on the menu, it looks like they're going to be setting up there and try to get ahead that way.
And the critical part there for them is going to be this Poppy. The Steadfast Presence is so good versus this team, versus Kalista, versus Nocturne as well, versus the Aatrox if the top laners end up roaming down. But last time around with Umti getting picked up in the river there and just going down so quickly, it gave full control over to Dig. So see how well he can manage it this time around. Obviously the Poppy ultimate, so good at turning the tables in these early dragon fights, ejecting out ideally one of these frontline members and allowing you to secure that objective.
So importantly, Impact recently used his teleport to go back up into top lane after doing a recall. Rich is going to have his teleport unleashed and ready to go here very soon. We also have the second batch of grubs, Ed, and Eddie Part 2 spawning just now.
Nocturne.
So this could be a very interesting situation as eXyu goes in for the dive underneath the tier 1 turret. Yeon has already fallen, and now eXyu's ready to flash forward. He's got 150 HP left, but that's plenty. Umti using the eject button to try to throw these guys out as Tomo's gonna die now to APA and the Poppy working together. eXyu tries to get out. CoreJJ hits him with an auto attack, but Milio's not particularly strong. Dove using the shockwave to try to provide some peel, get these guys out. Nice spell shield from eXyu prevents his death at the hands of Umti and the charge into the wall. But Team Liquid now has better health bars. They're gonna start up the Drake on the
Teleport coming in. Looks like Rich doesn't want to let him have it. Aatrox coming in hot.
This is what I'm talking about. TP advantage can go a long way. Rich spreads his wings. World Ender's ready to go as Umti now going to be stuck here on the front line. There's the Q1, Q2, Q3. Goodbye. Rich picking up his second kill of the game.
Profane Hydra done. Juicy, juicy pickup here. Able to burst down even a tank with Warden's Mail with very little effort right there. So does get the reward for the teleport, but let's check in on Impact and see how many turret plates Impact is able to get up there while the Aatrox is gone.
Looks like he should be able to secure this third one, but nothing much more than that as Rich heads back up into the top side. He is at about plus 500 compared to Impact because of the fact that he's got these first couple of kills. And I like seeing this from Rich. Like, we talk about Udyr, we talk about how this champion has so much presence in the lane that he can translate it to pressure on the enemy jungler, pressure on the enemy mid lane or whatever. But Rich has been having some good rotations to affect the rest of the map and not just be stranded on top lane island.
Yeah, and like he made a huge difference in that other top lane river fight as well. And I think the big thing is I have to credit Dig for is being able to follow through on the plans you can make with this composition, right? Like, they've seemed very in sync, especially when making these bot side plays. They use their TP advantage, like you pointed out, with Rich coming in to help out, so they didn't actually lose this Drake. It actually stops one of TL's kind of main win conditions for getting back into the game in Drake stacking, but now on top lane.
Yeah, Umti's coming around. He goes over the wall, and they knock Rich down. Nicely done from TL, but now on the other side of the map, it's CoreJJ under pressure. eXyu going in for the ulti here once again. Hostile takeover ain't gonna do much, but they don't even need it. Dignitas will make it a 1-for-1 trade across the map.
Really good job punishing the bottom side here for Dignitas. That's going to allow them to steal away the blue buff, finish up pushing on the bottom side turret. Meanwhile, though, Dove is going to get dove as well.
Here comes the X-Flash over the wall. Umti's got it done. He and APA work together to kill off the enemy mid laner. Impact is going to grab a turret up there in top lane as Tomo trades back one on the bottom side.
Let's call him Dig Dove. And then Umti's going to be able to get the Rift Herald afterwards, too.
Yeah, I mean, right now, it just seems like TL are like, okay, you know what? Top side is ours, right? And then they actually are going to be able to get this mid-tier 1 down as well. So after all that trading, TL are actually in a surprisingly good spot, being able to recognize where they can get these wins.
Well, Umti's also after the Rift Herald. Let's see what he can really grab here. We did not end up getting the second set of grubs taken by anyone, so it's just going to be 1 grub count for Dig versus the 2 of TL for the entire game. As Umti secures the Herald, Team Liquid wants to get some value out of that eye. This game, dead even. 15 minutes and 45 seconds in. Could go either way. You can see items coming online across the board. Experimental Hexplate for Nocturne kind of has taken over in light of Stridebreaker being kind of lousy these days. So it's just really good for Nocturne.
Stridebreaker is interesting because they've consistently been buffing it up, and on the next patch for next week, they've got a decent rework where it becomes a Tiamat item as well, and it's going to be unique to those. So interested to see where that item progression actually does go to. But yeah, the ultimate haste on the experimental hexplate.
So good.
So nice for Nocturne. Meanwhile, I also want to check back in on our story for Team Liquid with APA being put back on an Azir. You know, one of these champions that people have thought that was not really in his wheelhouse, is the most meta of all metas for mid lane champions. And he's going right back onto this champion after yesterday. He is going to be a really big part of the possible success story here for Team Liquid. You know, can Umti peel for them, and can this Azir be able to deal out the 2 and 3 item DPS that you're going to expect from this champion?
Yeah, and especially like even if he can also partner with Lucian to kind of try to soften up opponents and wear them down that way as well. The big thing from APA for me,
well, Yeon's going to drop the culling, force these guys back a little bit. Umti looking for an entry point, but there really isn't one. Dignitas can fall back in time. We can see Impact making his way down to the bottom lane. Rich doing the same. We have done the usual trade, send the top laners bot side. Now the laning phase has ended, but it's Umti who's in trouble. The steadfast presence to try to escape, but eXyu's ready to follow. eXyu has to be careful about the DPS from APA, but it don't really matter when it's a 4v2. Dove ends up getting the money, and Dignitas have their 6th kill.
Yeah, I mean, eXyu, again, has done a really good job of recognizing when he can kind of make these picks on the Nocturne. It's something we see from him also when he plays the Vi, which importantly was banned out against him, actually, by Team Liquid. And he's been pretty impressive this game for a jungler whom, my main criticism was his response to when he would get set behind or when his opponent would do something. His sense of when he can engage on Team Liquid members has been really good this game.
Rich playing safe down here in the bottom lane, recognizing, hey, they could be making a play on us. We already showed that we had 4 in the top side, so he's just farming up the Krugs. As Team Liquid came over the wall, he has to yield the turret, but he doesn't give away a free kill in the process, so he's doing all right. He'll just keep up farming with this Profane Hydra. You can see the little gray hourglass there in the Drake pit. That's going to be our next big objective. Ready to fight over. Still about a minute and a half away from the Baron, but once that comes online, you know, when you have very high damage potential champions when you're looking at stuff like Nocturne and Kalista. On the other side, you've got an Azir. If one team can really have a breakaway team fight, you can have a fast early Baron that blows this game open despite how close it already is.
And this mid game should be exciting to watch because Team Liquid's team comp here is supposed to operate with 2 split pushers, with APA and Impact on the sides, and then you keep your Milio Lucian in mid lane trying to chunk people out. But a team with Nocturne and teleports always looking to pick off those split pushing members and always looking to make plays to try and catch Team Liquid members that are in transition across the map. Plus, with Dragon spawning now, everybody's joining for the Dragon fight party.
Oh yeah, Umti's trying to get out of danger here. APA is going to summon up the Sun Disc or whatever it is with the Elderwood skin. I don't know, it's a turret. He's got that thing to protect him as Team Liquid is going to try to maintain their mid lane control while Dignitas establishes priority over the bot side river. Isles thinks he's being clever, but unfortunately he's clever on top of a TL colored ward. TL's gonna keep the push going, summoning up the Rift Herald to try to hard force into the tier 2. You can see Umti even charging up the ulti to prevent any kind of a defense here from Dignitas. Not going to get a lot of results out of it just yet. The tier 2 won't fall, but TL at least pulls Dignitas away from the bot side river. Now they can contest that priority. The Azir turret slowly but surely bleeding out here. Won't be able to stand for much longer. Tomo will step up, put a couple of auto attacks into it. Wombo combo, paranoia into the shockwave, and they've already found their first kill of the fight. CoreJJ's trying to get out. He'll barely live, but with Yeon dead for 25 seconds, Dignitas is liking that trigger pull.
Yeah, again, this is where I really have to credit Dig for going for these plays, right? Because if that gets dragged out, you have the classic, okay, we're dropping Herald, we're setting up to rotate to take the next Drake. We have everything set up, right? And Dig are like, nope, we have the composition, we can go in, we can get these kills, and now they end up being able to not only push back against TL in the mid lane, but get this Drake further.
Yeah, really good timing choice there from eXyu and Dove. Killing that Lucian here with the Nocturne Orianna combo instantly. CoreJJ had to use everything as well, so now Milio will have no summoner spells, also going to be in more danger. And look at this, right when they walk close to each other, eXyu chooses his moment, right in on top of him, gets the double shockwave. CoreJJ is able to flash and heal away, but Yeon not so much. Rich also getting right in here with the Aatrox. The lethality is coming through. Another serrated Dirk on top of the Profane Hydra. The burst damage is real.
I loved the timing. I love the fact that they go in right before the turret dies just to catch him a little bit off compared to where they would otherwise expect that to show up. Well played from Dignitas. Still a super close game though. That gold lead, has it even been over 1,000 the entire game? I don't believe so. Or, no, wait, never mind. It was about 1.5K earlier. I'm misremembering. That's my bad. But still a very close game.
Yeah, I think the big thing, though, is that TL have these 3 turrets down already, right? Which means there's some standing gold for Dig in the 2 turrets remaining in mid and top, which they haven't been able to get. Okay. Thinking they might be trying to set up for another pick here.
There it goes. Paranoia coming in. eXyu ready to deliver, but the problem is nobody else is with them. He's eating the whole culling as Tomo tries to scare Yeon back. That is what it looks like when it doesn't work for Dig.
Yeah, I mean, that looked a little bit less coordinated in terms of what they could do and how much they could follow up. They didn't particularly get punished for it, though. They are going to lose some mid pressure here, and then the big thing is that Dove should still be able to respond to this topside push.
Yeah, they do now at least have those 2 items for APA, so the Leandris has also come in. So they're starting to get the real DPS, the backline threat built up here for TL. Their front line is amazing, you know, double frozen hearts, so they have a lot of area coverage for the aura. You're basically always going to be covered by it. They've even got Umti going with the Locket of Iron Solari as APA does a nice little trade here with the supports and is going to be able to secure their mid prio to retreat on back and make sure they have full vision coverage of their Aaron. But once you really start to see that backline threat hold through, if they can actually peel for him and keep him alive from this Dignitas onslaught, then they definitely can start to make their way right back to it.
All right, more top lane battles. It's not really going to go much of anywhere. It's lethality Aatrox versus armor Udyr, so they'll slap each other back and forth, make a good show of it, both walk home.
All right, time to start judging this Lucian because you've got everything.
Judgment time.
You have everything that you need. You know, you've got the bubble, the dream maker thing here for CoreJJ to buff up Lucian, and then you go in with your rapid fire and Storm Razor proc, and you get a big chunk on somebody, and you hopefully are able to get a really good culling as well. trying to play aggressive, trying to get some of these chunks onto enemy champions that allow your team to then have better setups to the fights. See if he can do it. The Milio range, the bubble damage, the extra energized procs.
All right, Dignitas coming in for the collapse over in mid lane. Yeon's gonna get bursted low, but he ain't dead just yet. Umti trying to turn it back around on Tomo, but Rich is coming in from the side. World Ender popped and ready to go. He's got the Infernal Chains into the Q3 hit. Umti still just trying to get away from this one, but even with that awakened Glacial, there's no way that Impact can keep him alive, so Dignitas are going to find another 1-for-0 trade.
Yeah, and with Tomo playing so far up front, you have to be like,
what is happening
what's
here?
going on?
Why would he do this?
But again, like, as they start off the Baron, which is pretty good play for them, although TL should be able to respond.
Yeah, TL's coming to stop this. The important part, Umti's still dead for 10 seconds. Dignitas wanted to force the issue. Rich not going to find anything here with the Q3 just yet as Impact is thrown up into the air. Dignitas coming in to try to hit him, but they soaked so much damage from the culling. Now Rich is the one who's got to be careful. Beautifully played from TL. 4v5, they're going to force Dig away.
And that's the ideal that Kobe was talking about, right? With Impact just kind of sitting on them as the culling goes across. And now they should be able to at least clear out this vision and possibly set Baron for themselves.
Right, Team Liquid starting it up. Umti's coming around. He'll be able to walk in, join up with everybody. Rich used the teleport to get back out onto the map.
eXyu has Nocturne ult.
Trying to slow these guys down a little bit. The Baron's down to about 1/3 and Team Liquid are pulling away. They do not want to coin flip this. eXyu and Dove ready to dive in here. Rich on the front line. He's going to try to control Impact. eXyu dives into everybody on TL, but he's just going to instantly die. The bailout won't be able to save him. Umti grabs the kill. A misfire from Dignitas turns into what could be a Baron take here. As no, that was way too close. Umti secures the Baron. Team Liquid gets a kill on top of it.
Oh, Flowers, look at the setup for that. Because the Orianna, the Dove was behind the Baron pit. Nocturne goes right up the middle here, and there's no real coordination. They aren't together in their attempt, and so really big pickups for Team Liquid.
Yeah, that's, as we see here, you should really, really track where Dove is, right? Because he is not going to be able to join up with eXyu, and even though bailout comes out, he just cannot do anything. And when that happens, like when you cannot execute on this composition, then TL, it was still a little close, but they end up getting the Baron. And yeah, I mean, that's really what happens when you have a comp like this and you don't execute on those fights perfectly.
I mean, the only way I feel like Dove can get in there is he would have to flash over the Baron wall and then just immediately try to throw the ball in and shockwave,
Yeah.
but we've
Gotta walk from the same angle as your Nocturne, or they have to be more in sync with their call. Maybe his idea was that he was gonna steal it from over the back with a shockwave with some damage on it. But yeah, now they're in a very, very bad place with the Baron siege coming.
And this is kind of what we talked about earlier with the comms not being perfect on Dignitas, trying to make a play and just hope everybody understands what you're going for. But now Team Liquid, they're going for bot lane inhib. They're just going to force this one down. Dignitas knows there's not really a whole lot they can do about it. So in the meantime, they have Rich take the tier 2 up there in top. But Team Liquid now has a 1 inhib advantage. They're up 2,000 gold. Feeling pretty good about the state of the game as Dignitas has everybody back and ready to fight to defend the rest of the base.
Yeah, and with Impact pushing this in, they should be able to wait for the next wave, probably take this turret out as well. This was really well coordinated from TL, right? To really capitalize on like, okay, we have Baron push, we're going in, Rich is gonna have to respond to us eventually.
Umti threatening to knock them all away, make it so Dignitas cannot have the coordinated counterattack that they want, and Team Liquid buys themselves enough time to force down inhibitor number 2. Well done. Great use of Baron, plus 2,600 on your Red Bull Baron buff. These guys have had a lot of efficacy from this play.
And you can tell it definitely means a lot for this team. We heard in the interview with Jat and Spawn before this game how the Team Liquid members were really wanted more for themselves from the games that they've been playing, and they felt like they could have done so much better. And already, you know, Impact here, spamming the taunts in front of the base. Now they can kind of breathe a little sigh of relief, having taken 2 inhibitors with the extra gold off of Baron, with the extra dragon that they've been able to stack up. and really come through with some confidence here for these team fights. Both Yeon and APA have their flashes. The carries should be able to remain protected. CoreJJ has rank 2 Milio ultimate ready. His flash is almost back up as well, so they should now be able to return with the 2 lines of super minions down mid and bottom to finish up work here towards top side. They just have to be very cognizant of that Nocturne Orianna combination that will be coming straight for the back line.
Exactly. The game's not done. They can't get complacent. They can't get lazy. They got to make sure they keep this
focus
on. Exactly. Dead
Lock
focus,
in.
boys. Dead focus.
Yeah, I mean, their setup here should be pretty good, right? Because Impact has pushed this wave out in topside, which is their last remaining line of turrets. Outside of Nexus turrets, of course.
Okay, APA using the stasis to escape the shockwave. He throws the soldiers out, and the Emperor's Divide buys him enough time to flash out to safety. With their mid laner in trouble, Team Liquid is going to have to pump the brakes. If only momentarily, he will have the teleport to rejoin the rest of the squad as soon as he goes back and heals. Don trying to soften up Isles here with the culling, takes him down to about half HP. Team Liquid continuing their push in. They know the shockwave is down. That's a huge part of the threat from Dignitas' engage, so TL feels more confident to step up. They didn't lose anybody to it. Yes, it cost APA summoners, but they're still feeling confident enough to keep this push going in the enemy base.
Yeah, and they're kind of trying to keep them penned up here in the base while Impact just finishes up with top lane here. The Udyr was sent back to grab the minion wave, get it up to the tower, so Impact working its way through tower number 2. And they should be up to the inhibitor turret here shortly as the rest of the team continues to deal with these minion waves, as long as they don't overextend. And they keep in mind that Nocturne ultimate has a short cooldown.
Here we go! They want the engage. Yeon's going to be forced back, has to flash out over the wall. Hostile takeover over the top, finds Impact and CoreJJ both, but there's no kills. Dignitas cannot seal the deal just yet as APA's under pressure, but the Infernal Chains will not pull him back. Now Impact's in the middle of everybody, and Rich gets buried. Yeon's the one with the shovel, and now Dove has to flash out as APA goes for another Emperor's Divide. Isles looking to see if he might be able to pick him up here with a handshake, but it doesn't have the range. TL with a 1 for nothing.
They should be able to finish here. Impact's going to teleport back. He got his Jack show as well.
eXyu popping the spell shield. Impact wants to wait. Ends up getting the stun, but the rest of the team still just playing it slow and steady. Takes out the 3rd inhibitor turret. They take out the Nexus turrets there with the minions held. Team Liquid going for the throat. Dignitas, it's their last ditch defense as Team Liquid still has 5 men in the base. There we go. 5v3 for the next 15 seconds. The calling is going out. There it is. Lucian is finally gonna get a win here in the LCS. Team Liquid goes up to 3-3.
And you can see the bits and pieces from TL finally beginning to work together. After they got that Baron, I really, really like their coordination around taking out those 2 inhibs, around making sure that Impact, once he was pushing out the top wave, even when APA got caught, they were able to regroup, make the most of those pushing supers. Like, once they were set ahead, they had a very clear understanding of how to finish the game, and that's really nice to see from TL, because I think a lot of their issues have come down to these differences in coordination and communication with the team.
Yeah, nice to see from them. They get a win for Lucian. They also got a win for APA Azir. Yeah, 0 deaths for APA Azir as well.
It was really